You're tuned in to the English Up Podcast.
Brought to you by the Speak English with Us.
Quick question, how many times today have you looked at your phone instead of your work?
If your answer is too many, you're in the right place. And probably a little too honest.
Today we're talking about why your focus keeps slipping even when you really want to get things done.
And the annoying part is, it's often not laziness. It's your environment quietly dragging your attention away.
This is a B1 level episode, perfect for intermediate learners. Beginners, you're welcome too.
Stay with us because we're going to turn a messy workday into something much easier to control.
Picture this. You're at your desk, but there's clutter everywhere. Papers, cables, sticky notes, a half-empty cup, and a phone that won't stop buzzing.
That desk sounds suspiciously familiar. Mine once looked like a small storm passed through and left a spreadsheet behind.
Exactly. And then you think, why can't I focus? When your brain is getting hit by tiny distractions every 10 seconds.
And here's the bigger issue. Your brain doesn't just notice clutter, it has to process it, which steals energy before you even start.
Quick choice, A or B. Do you lose focus more from noise or from visual mess?
Just think about it now. Your answer probably says a lot about the area you're working in.
Today, we're not talking about willpower as a personality test. We're talking about the trigger points in your space that quietly decide whether you stay on task or drift away.
Yes, a tiny area change can make a surprisingly big difference. Sometimes a boost in results starts with moving one object.
So if you've ever sat down for work and somehow ended up organizing a drawer for 20 minutes, don't worry, you're definitely not alone.
We've all had that "I came to write, but now I'm alphabetizing pens" moment.
By the end of this episode, you'll see how a simple layout shift can protect your focus without making your life complicated.
Stay until the end for our word tour 5 expressions you'll hear used naturally in the story.
And while you're listening, you might even notice the exact moment your own attention starts to wobble.
Because later, we will give you one tiny trick. But first, let's look at the real problem hiding in plain sight.
So Alex, picture this. You sit down to work, but your desk is covered in clutter papers, pens, sticky notes everywhere. Your eyes dart around, and suddenly you realize you're not focusing at all.
That happens to me all the time. The clutter creates this mental noise. It's like my brain's trying to solve a puzzle it didn't sign up for.
That's exactly it. Clutter isn't just annoying. It directly steals focus by overloading your brain with distractions. Your mind's forced to scan the environment and sort through irrelevant stuff instead of concentrating on the task.
It's why psychologists talk about cognitive load, the mental effort we use just to manage our surroundings. When clutter increases, cognitive load spikes, making it harder to focus.
And it's not just messiness. Your workspace is a collection of different areas, each with a purpose. If your work area is littered with things that belong to other areas, it mixes signals and confuses your brain.
That's why creating specific areas like a focus zone, a break zone, and an inspiration zone can really cut down distractions. Each area tells your brain what to expect and how to behave.
Imagine a small thing that sets off a big reaction, like a red light that signals it's time to focus. That's the power of environmental triggers.
Right. When you use color or light as triggers in your focus area, you're training your brain. Every time you see that cue, your brain switches into deep work mode.
And it really works. There's a creative team who rearranged their meeting rooms and desks using light changes and minimal clutter. They reported a 30% boost in focus just from those tweaks.
That's huge. It proves something simple like adjusting your environment can massively boost your productivity, no magic pill needed.
But here's the tricky part. Those triggers need to be consistent and tied to your most focused areas. Otherwise, the brain won't learn to react properly.
Exactly. Random clutter or flashing lights everywhere won't help. You want to reduce clutter in your focus area so it stays clean and clear, no mixed signals.
And I get it. It's hard to keep things perfectly organized, especially when you're busy. But the key is small steps, like spending 5 minutes before work tidying your desk into zones.
That's doable. Just set up 1 or 2 areas for specific tasks and use simple triggers, maybe a colored sticker or a lamp you turn on only when working deeply.
It's a bit like training a dog. You give a cue, it responds reliably. Your brain responds the same way by focusing.
So if I put a red sticker on my laptop, that means work now, right? No more scrolling Instagram.
Exactly. And the best part is, you're not relying on motivation or self-discipline alone. You're shaping your environment to help your focus naturally.
Which means the focus isn't lost because of your willpower, it's just that the environment hasn't been set up to support it.
So here's something practical to try. Tomorrow, spend 5 minutes before starting work to clear your desk and divide it into functional areas.
And don't forget to bring a few small colored items to create your focus triggers. A sticky note, a colored clip, anything visual that sharpens your brain's attention.
This method works because it cuts down the mental overhead your brain suffers from when surrounded by clutter. You get to clear up focus space, literally and mentally.
Plus, you're boosting your work efficiency without adding stress. Less clutter equals less distraction, which is the whole point.
And by the way, the phrase that sums this up nicely is environmental trigger. We'll break it down later in our word tour.
Can't wait to dive into it. But for now, just know this. Your space has a bigger impact on your focus than you might think. Tiny changes lead to big results.
So, we've heard a lot about how tiny environment tweaks can boost your focus. But Alex, isn't there a risk this feels like just another productivity fad? Is reorganizing your desk really making that big a difference?
That's a fair question. But look, the science backs it up. Studies show that clutter disrupts working memory, making it harder to concentrate. Changing your workspace reduces distractions and literally boosts your brain's ability to focus. Isn't that worth trying?
I get that. But what if the real problem isn't clutter, but motivation? Someone could have the neatest desk ever and still get distracted if they just don't feel like working. Can environment alone fix that?
Motivation's definitely part of it, no doubt. But environment acts as a trigger that makes motivation easier to access. If your space is chaotic, your brain's overwhelmed before you start. So cleaning your desk isn't just cleaning, it's like priming your mind to work. It's a simple but powerful boost.
Still, I worry that focusing too much on environment cues can make people think they need perfect conditions to do anything. What about people working in noisy cafes or busy homes? They can't control everything. Does this advice exclude them?
Good point. It's absolutely true that not everyone can create a perfect zone, but the tweaks don't have to be huge or exclude all noise. For example, the area concept is scalable. Even carving out a small corner or using colors as triggers can help. Plus, there are quick tricks like noise-canceling headphones that work alongside environment changes.
But what about long-term effectiveness? Couldn't someone clean their desk every day but fall back into distraction habits anyway? Environment helps short-term, yes, but what about true focus skills?
That's where training your brain comes in. The environment changes are the first step to build more focus naturally. Once you create these triggers, you're boosting your brain's wiring to associate certain spaces or colors with work mode. Over time, those associations strengthen attention, almost like forming a habit.
So you'd argue it's like building muscle memory, but for focus?
Exactly, and we've seen companies boost work focus by over 30% just by redesigning work areas and adjusting light concrete proof this stuff isn't just theory.
Okay, but isn't there a danger that people become perfectionists about their workspace, spending more time rearranging than actually working?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I say small practical tweaks are key. 5 minutes a day, 2 or 3 distinct areas, a color or two can trigger your focus without turning your work into a decorating contest.
I still wonder if some might use environment tweaks as an excuse to avoid developing deeper focus skills. Isn't there a risk of over-relying on external hacks while ignoring internal discipline?
You raise a critical concern. External environment is just one piece, but many people's brain focus is hijacked by surroundings before they even realize it. Fixing clutter or triggers isn't a crutch, it's setting the stage to build better discipline inside. It's like clearing the canvas before painting.
That makes sense. So environment tweaks don't replace discipline but support it, making it more achievable, especially when distractions feel overwhelming.
Spot on. They're like training wheels for focus, helpful early on and gradually lead you to ride solo.
I like that analogy, but maybe for some, a cluttered or noisy environment is part of their creative process? Should we just generalize that neat environment equals best focus?
Creativity is complex, sure. Some people thrive with a bit of mess or noise. But science shows that clutter generally increases cognitive load, leaving less brain capacity for creative ideas. So while exceptions exist, most people would benefit from decluttering their work area.
So messy desk, messy mind might hold some truth then?
Seems like it. Though, yes, some controlled mess is fine if it sparks ideas. The point is knowing your personal triggers and adjusting just enough to boost focus.
I guess the real takeaway is balance. Creating an environment that suits you reduces mental clutter and signals your brain it's time to work.
Exactly. And it's not about perfection, just thoughtful tweaks that trigger your focus and boost productivity bit by bit.
So for listeners, if you feel stuck, try mapping out your workspace into small areas for specific tasks. Use colors or signals as focus triggers. It might sound small, but the impact can surprise you.
And remember, it's just the start of building stronger habits. Don't let distractions win today.
So now you can see the pattern. Small changes in your space can shift your focus fast.
And we used 5 keywords naturally in that story, so let's pull them apart and make them useful.
No pressure, just the fun part, where the words stop hiding and start helping you work.
Up next is our word tour, and we'll break down each phrase with clear, practical examples.
All right, let's dive into the words we've been using, starting with focus. We talked about losing it constantly, right?
Yeah, and focus isn't just about staring at something. It's your brain's ability to concentrate on one task without getting pulled away by distractions.
Exactly. So when you say, I can't focus today, you're really saying your attention keeps jumping around.
Like when you're reading an email. But suddenly you're thinking about lunch, then checking your phone, then wondering if you locked the door.
That's the opposite of focus. Real focus means your mind stays locked on the task. No wandering, no multitasking.
And here's the thing. Focus isn't a personality trait. It's a skill you can train by controlling your environment.
Which brings us perfectly to area. We kept mentioning work areas, focus areas, rest areas.
Right, because an area is just a specific space you use for a certain purpose. It's not complicated.
So your desk could be your work area, your couch is your rest area, and maybe your kitchen table is your creative area.
Exactly. The key is keeping those areas separate in your brain. Don't blur them together or your focus gets confused.
So if you always work on your bed, your brain starts thinking, wait, Is this sleep time or work time?
Spot on. That's why defining clear areas helps your brain switch modes faster.
Now, what about trigger? We use that word a lot when talking about signals.
A trigger is something that causes an action or reaction. It's like a cue that tells your brain, okay, time to do this now.
So a trigger could be a color, a sound, or even a specific object on your desk.
Absolutely. For example, if you always put on a certain playlist before working, that music becomes a trigger for focus.
Or if you light a candle every time you sit down to write, your brain learns. Candle equals writing time.
Exactly. It's like training a dog, but you're training your own brain.
I love that. So triggers aren't just random, they're intentional signals you create.
Right. And the more consistent you are, the stronger the trigger becomes.
Okay, next up is clutter. We definitely talked about messy desks and visual noise.
Clutter is just a messy collection of things in a place. Papers, cables, random objects, all piled up.
My desk right now is basically a clutter museum. I've got sticky notes from 3 months ago.
And that's the problem. Clutter doesn't just look messy. It actually steals your mental energy.
Because your brain has to process all those visual distractions, even if you're not actively looking at them.
Exactly. Every object your brain sees is something it has to categorize and ignore. That's exhausting.
So clearing clutter isn't just about being neat. It's about freeing up brain space for actual work.
Right? Less clutter means more mental capacity for focus.
And finally, we've got boost. We kept saying environment tweaks can boost your productivity.
Boost just means to increase or improve something. It's a simple but powerful word.
So if you boost your focus, you're making it stronger. If you boost your energy, you are increasing it.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, small changes can create big boosts.
Like how moving one object or changing your lighting can boost your concentration by 30%.
Right, you don't need a complete overhaul, just a few smart tweaks to boost results.
So there you have it. 5 words that show up everywhere when you're talking about focus and productivity.
Focus, area, trigger, clutter, boost. Use them naturally, and you'll sound way more confident.
And honestly, once you start noticing these words in real conversations, you'll hear them everywhere.
Yeah, they're not fancy academic terms. They're everyday words that just happen to be super useful.
So, to wrap things up, today we've uncovered how tiny adjustments to your environment can seriously improve your ability to focus and get more done.
Right. We talked about how clutter steals mental energy, how defining clear areas can help your brain switch modes, and how triggers, those little environmental cues, can boost your concentration.
If you're wondering where to start, here are a couple of simple actions. Tomorrow, spend 5 minutes clearing and organizing your desk into at least 1 or 2 distinct areas, maybe a focus area for deep work and a rest area for breaks.
And add a small trigger, something like a colored sticker, a special notebook, or a light that you only turn on when you start working. It's all about training your brain to recognize when it's time to focus.
I have to admit, I used to underestimate how much my messy desk affected me. But once I set up clear areas and removed distractions, my attention improved dramatically. It felt like I finally gave my brain the space to breathe.
Same here. Even just moving things around and using that color trigger boosted my focus. Small efforts, big results.
So, if you feel stuck or distracted, don't just blame yourself. Try these micro tweaks in your environment first. They're low effort but super effective.
And keep experimenting. Your ideal setup might change over time. The goal is to keep boosting your focus so you do less spinning your wheels and more moving forward.
Next time, we'll explore how to manage energy levels throughout the day to keep that focus going strong.
Thanks so much for spending time with us. Before you go, we want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments, what's one small change you'll make to your workspace this week?
We read every single comment. Thanks for listening and see you next time.
Bye for now.